Fallout 76 has been a divisive game in the Fallout franchise. Some fans, including myself, have always wondered what it would be like to explore the wastelands with other players, doing quests, and playing a multiplayer experience. Well, Bethesda is here to answer your questions and to trigger those in the community who want the franchise to remain single player only. This beta isn't like other betas either. This is the full game. I've played through the first parts of the actual game itself, and my progress will carry over to the release of the game. Ranting on that for a minute, I don't think that that's right. I think that the people who pre-order the game should not have an innate advantage over pretty much everyone else by having progress in the game, better loot and stuff from other quests and stuff. I think they should reset the progress and let everyone just actually play the game at launch and have pretty much equal footing. Regardless, it's not a testing version of the game from 3 months before to see what the community likes and doesn't like. You know, this is strictly Bethesda stress testing the servers and seeing if they can truly hold up. So I'm going to be more critical on this game's beta than on others, because it just isn't a beta. This is 2 weeks before launch. Going into this game, I was terrified. I'm a fan of the Fallout franchise, and seeing a game stray so far away from what the franchise truly is was something that scared a lot of Fallout fans. And rightfully so. I think most of us knew that we weren't going to get some gem of a game here that, we're going to hail as the best Fallout of all time. New Vegas is just so hard to beat, and I honestly don't think Bethesda even set out to do that with this game to begin with. If I'm being 100% honest, I think Bethesda only made this game really to cash out. It just seems really odd for them to make this game, and considering the nature of it, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them start to implement a lot of paid microtransactions, new outfits, armor, things like that shit. They even tried doing this into Fallout 4, if you remember. But they still put a game out, and that game is a Fallout game, and I'm gonna see what there is to see. Nothing is really set in stone. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just really feels and seems that way. However, a lot of my fears were somewhat quickly alleviated by this game. Not all of them. There's still plenty to worry and talk about that is garbage about this game, but a lot of worries were put to rest. The game does have some form of story behind it. It's not just you running through the lawless wasteland hoping and praying that you don't die. It's not team deathmatch. From what I've seen, it's not too great, but it's there. A big part of Fallout games is how deep they run in story. I mean, you could write a book about New Vegas, even somewhat about Fallout 4. Each title has its own story about a location, where it has plenty of characters, enemies, places, and factions you're not going to see in other games. But when you get further out beyond each individual title, the whole franchise is based on this really deep and complex lore as well. Fallout 76 has pieces of a story there for you to find on your own, but it's lacking plenty. Yes, there is a narrative, but no, there isn't a very good way for the game to detail this narrative, deliver it to you in an interesting way, or even really make you give a shit. Say whatever you'd like about how mediocre Fallout 4 also was. That game had a narrative, it was bad, and it had a bad way of delivering it, but Fallout 76 has a narrative that does nothing for you. The whole objective of the game is to repopulate the planet and to rebuild society after the vault goes out on Reclamation Day, but the stories in the game just aren't there to do anything. All the quests in the game are pretty much given to you by holotapes you find throughout the world, or by accessing volunteer terminals, and other ways that just don't make you care about the story. You know, when you load in and you finally get to the first settlement and you find the first volunteer terminal, I don't care about the backstories of those people. I mean, they're dead anyways. They're gone. There's no reason for me to care. But it's just, I don't understand why they didn't write a better story for this game. They could have found, I think, at least some way to really put some good narrative in there, but they just didn't. And that's what really upsets me about the game not having real NPCs except for the robots and stuff like that. You know, how am I supposed to care at all about any of the story in the game if I'm not given a reason to? Like I said in Fallout 4, at least in the Minutemen missions especially, you could see these people cared about others and that they wanted to help people. You felt a connection with them in some way. Fallout 76 loads up the quest and bam, you get to test some water samples. You get to cook a ribeye steak from a dead Brahmin in the street. You get to kill some bad guys at a spot on the map. But doing these things doesn't further any dialogue at all. There is no real story to learn. There's no end objective. You get just as much out of the story by listening to the holotapes tell you what happened than you do by actually playing the game and enjoying it. If that was gonna be the case, why didn't you just make a damn book? I don't want a video game to tell me what happened. I want a video game to make me experience what happened. I'm not watching a movie. I mean, let's even just consider this, okay? Fallout New Vegas. Pretty much everyone's favorite Fallout game that I've ever talked to. Everyone thinks it has an amazing story, and it does. It certainly does. I would be interested in a Fallout New Vegas movie. Would I be interested in a Fallout 76 movie? No. No, I wouldn't. I'd literally probably rather drive my car off a bridge than have a Fallout 76 movie. And right now you're thinking, if you've played the game, well, that doesn't make any sense, because Fallout New Vegas, you could actually make a movie around. You could never make a movie around Fallout 76. And that's my point. There's no narrative. There's no story that matters. I'm not watching a movie. Anyways, the map, let's talk about that. The map is pretty great, actually. It's a definite step up from 4. Fallout 4 had a map that was uninspired and boring to explore, but Fallout 76 has a lot more for you to see. The map is a pretty good size, there's a lot of interesting things to look at, there's plenty of places to explore. I also appreciate how much color this game offers to me. Yeah, I get it, it's Fallout, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be an expert on how the world would recover 20 years after a nuclear war, but for what it's worth, I enjoy the plant life and the mutated animals and all that. Unfortunately, Fallout 76 lacks good graphics for the most part, and then in Fallout 4, if you can remember, several of the most popular mods in that game actually were ones that introduced grass and plants back into the world. However, Fallout 76 lacks good graphics for the most part. This world, if on a better engine and if given lots more work, could look beautiful. It's somewhat of a step up from 4. They actually modified the engine so they could offer 16 times the amount of detail that they could in previous versions of the Creation Engine, but even then, this game is just not good looking. Fallout 76 can sometimes look beautiful, especially in the right lighting, but the textures aren't great, models are sometimes unpolished, animations look a bit clunky, just the faces. Oh my goodness. Looking at your character in third person or looking at the faces of the other characters, motion capture alleviates 80% of these problems, but you're never gonna see that in a Bethesda game. I just don't understand that. I don't get why Bethesda doesn't crack and build a new engine. It's easily their biggest issue. Their games can't hold up. The game itself just looks like it belongs a decade in the past. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I'd be fine with this game looking worse if the gameplay made up for it, but it honestly doesn't always make up for it. On top of that, the game runs with so many frame rate issues on console, and sometimes literally just skips about 30 frames and just halts everything for half a second. That gets old. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. It has a massive world with 1,000 times the detail and things on the map than this game, and it holds out solid at 30 FPS on the PlayStation 4. It's just borderline becoming inexcusable in the year 2018. The gameplay isn't making up for these problems. In fact, if you're not playing with friends, I'd even say Fallout 76 will bore you. Because single player has to really try hard to pull your attention, it can't hide some of that shittiness behind the fact that you're having a good time with your friends. The game has to give you an experience that suffices by yourself. And this game doesn't do that, and a large part of that has to do with the fact that the game doesn't deliver a good story. This game doesn't do that, and a large part of that has to do with the fact that it just doesn't deliver a good story. Playing single player in this game just holds the blade to your neck, as really the only thing you can do is to grind quests that don't mean shit but experience, and hope to God that some asshole doesn't come kill you in the middle of what you're doing, which, trust me, is going to happen. The game won't have private servers at launch, and that issue is now currently unavoidable. I've played about half and half between myself and then with some viewers who joined into my game, and I didn't have close to the amount of fun that I did with them in solo. I felt like I was grinding for nothing, but playing with them provided a whole new approach to the game. Mopping up enemies was much more fun when you can laugh about the stupid shit, laugh at the bugs, and share the loot and coordinate everything. Creating funny looking players and emoting was fun. but I'm sure this is the avenue we'll see Bethesda monetize the most. The most I got out of solo play in this game was the random event, which players at a certain spot in the map had to kill some robots that had betrayed their programming and become hostile. That was fun. But that was the most fun I had solo. But this game isn't a solo game, which is why it's the least Fallout game ever created. Without expanding on any deep-set lore or story, having graphics and performance that don't belong in this decade, and generally feeling uninspired as a game in most aspects, Fallout 76 highlights every single problem wrong with Bethesda and their ability to produce a really good Fallout game. The game is full of glitches, bugs, performance issues, and more. And no, don't try to say, it's because of it being a beta, bro. It's because it's a Bethesda game, and their outdated engine is only 50% to blame. The other 50% of that blame falls strictly on Bethesda's shoulders for not doing something about it. This beta isn't the beta you're trying to defend. This beta is a server beta. This is the game. This is the product. They know the game's gonna sell though, so they keep putting out games with these issues. The game fails in the most basic aspects. VATS has been so watered down that it's not VATS anymore, which was the best aspect of Fallout Combat. They replaced all your player stats with trading cards, so you can combine these random effects with your increased amounts of intelligence, stamina, perception, luck, etc. I kinda like this feature, but it just isn't a quilt I'm gonna throw on the fire. Fallout 76 simply isn't a great game, and it's an example of exactly why Bethesda can't seem to put out a game that can even compete with New Vegas. They're not willing to fix the problems with what they create. They're not willing to stay true to the stories and the lore. They're not willing to do anything that won't make them the most money. And it's a shame because this game could really be great, but it's not. It's extremely mediocre, and the only reason it's mediocre is because Bethesda wants it to be. It's almost a shame when the best way to sum it up is, well, at least it's not a complete dumpster fire. You know, it's a shame when that's the best thing you can really come up with to describe it when someone asks, hey, how did you like Fallout 76? You'll have some fun times rolling with your crew in this game, but solo wanderers who want to be remembered in just an actual franchise that is one of the greatest single-player franchises of all time, I mean, you've been forgotten. That's the sad part. The game just feels more and more like a cheap mod for Fallout 4 made by community members who want experience and wanted to create something, not by a AAA game studio. The crazy thing is, Fallout isn't a franchise where you can shit on the mods because there are legitimate mods coming out in the future for previous games that turn them into brand new community-made games. Fallout 76 is literally less Fallout than a mod like Fallout Miami. It honestly just boggles my mind that it can happen that way. I mean, it's a shame too. Fallout 76 might be worth getting when it goes on sale, but this just simply isn't a $60 game in my opinion. Save your money, go get Red Dead Redemption 2, whatever you want to do, I would hold off. We'll see how Bethesda takes the game in the future, but I don't imagine it's going to be anything good. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more content. Follow me on Twitter @sub2optimus. Join the Discord down below. I'm going to start shouting out everyone who supports the channel financially, regardless of how, at the end of videos instead of just the patrons. Anyways, thank you to Nathan Wheaton, LolXD, LaFon Charlie, Terrific Fanatic, Xavier Trujillo, Average Kid, Dan the Cards Fan 47, Spy Smocking, Snitchy, Lol, Ben Asman, Causey, Exo Snow, Vito 721, Twonk, Inquisitive Tony, Public Ranger, Introverted Gamer, Sweeping Hamster, Izzy Official, Dr. Dragon, CJ the Gamer 27, Mikey Mouse, Pixel Snipe Gaming, Super Noxel, Dally Whoop, XD Liam, I Am a Tuna, Gaming Tim Horton, Spike Viper, Donovan Hernandez, Elusive, and Richard Cunningham for super chatting, donating, being a patron, or being a channel member. Your support is valued. Anyways, until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, putting on his power armor and signing out.